Yes, sir.
All right, welcome to the Never Ready podcast where we try to help you feel a little more ready to jump into what you're wanting to do with your life through hearing the stories of people who are actually doing something. Today I got with me Niki Lane of Rockgirl Management Group. He runs essentially a music label here, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. But 9 bands you have?
Roughly.
Roughly.
Yeah.
I remember we were talking. Yeah.
Without counting them,
yeah. Anyways, very excited to have him in today, hearing a little bit more about his story, about what got him into it. I'll let him say just a little bit more about what he actually does, let you guys know. And then I do want to know, what's your overall goal with like your company? Where are you trying to go? What are you trying to turn it into?
Well, our ultimate goal is to support artists and musicians. I mean, that's the bottom line. We didn't get into what we're doing for ourselves. Um, we are a record label. We are a management company, artist management company. We do publishing, promotions, bookings, marketing, anything under that label that artists could use us for, we'll find a way to do it. If we're not doing it now. Um, the music industry is in such shambles, and we are working really hard to get it back to the glory days. And what I consider the glory days is, back in the 80s when, the music industry was strong. And so that's what we do, and that's our goal, just to help, local musicians and artists advance themselves, advance their careers. I was a drummer at one time, and in 2014 I broke my back. I had a lot of complications. I ended up paralyzed for 2.5 years.
Ooh, that's tough.
And I couldn't get anybody, doctors, or nobody to help me. Basically, what happened is my incision come open when they brought me home, and they wouldn't fix it. And I ended up ultimately getting 5 different types of infections that they couldn't get rid of. So I ended up having a total of 6 surgeries,
Man.
almost dying twice because of being septic.
Man.
And so it was a struggle.
I'm glad you're okay now.
Well, thank you. But and that's kind of how Rockgirl got started. At that time I obviously didn't know Rockgirl, but I was always striving to find a way to stay in the music. And we ultimately started Headbangers Vault podcast, which is kind of like a talk show. We talk about artists, their music. We play snippets of their music.
Just like
And
a
then
promo kind of show, like getting it
Yep.
out there.
Yep. And then, we kind of started turning things into games. So like we would pick a genre of music, and you would have to like pick 10 B-side songs, and the other person would do it, and then they'd have judges to see, who picked the better.
No, that's awesome.
So they do stuff like that. I ultimately sold it to my co-host and a friend of ours who ultimately started coming on the show with us.
Is it still going on?
It is, and it's doing very well. They actually got a syndicated show now that they do.
Oh, awesome.
So
I'll have to check that out, look into that.
but yeah, it's pretty funny. Sometimes they get a little tipsy and
Yeah. No, that sounds fun.
but it's a fun. They do a really good job, and once in a while they still call me up and have me on the show.
Awesome.
But they're good friends of mine.
How long did you do that before you sold it?
About a year. We done somewhere between 32 and 35 episodes.
Nice.
Before I sold it.
Nice. So were you trying to drop 2 a month, roughly?
Uh,
Probably.
somewhere around there,
Yeah.
like 2, 3 sometimes. Yeah.
Just I know how it goes with starting that up. I initially thought I would do an episode a month of this, but I've had so many people want to be on it right away that now I'm at 2 episodes a month, and I'm very quickly going to end up with 3 or 4. I would like to end up with weekly, but I have to keep the guests coming in regularly.
Right.
But it's been growing faster than I thought. Like after I posted the first episode, got quite a few people like, "Hey, I want to be on there. Come talk." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, great."
I mean that's the thing. We never expected Rockgirl to take off like it did. And you recently had Dale Wake on your show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was actually one of our first clients.
Yeah, he was talking about that. He said he had mentioned how well you're doing now and how it was very early on for you guys whenever he first brought him in. They're doing great. Kingdom Falls, that's a good band.
Oh yeah, I still love them. I still appreciate them.
He said the same about you.
Yeah, they're great guys, man. And if I could ever get the opportunity to work with them again, hands down, I'd do it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're just such wonderful guys.
Yeah, they've been so kind to us. They've helped us so much. They've given us this mixer, various speakers, different things throughout the years of knowing them and just doing shows together. Great guys. All
Yeah. They and they're in the industry for the same reason, to promote it, to help it, to bring it back.
Yeah, they just genuinely love what they're doing.
Yeah,
It's great. That's it. Very much your goals align a lot with what I'm trying to do here at Never Ready, because we just started a studio ourselves because we were going to studios. We were doing the whole music industry, trying to be a young artist. Me and my partner. My partner primarily, he's the musician. I was the video guy for years. But we started just learning about how basically how fucked the music industry is now, and artists are on the bottom of the totem pole, unfortunately. So we switched to independent, and then through doing that, we built our own studio and got to the point where I'm like, well, we switched from being just a private guys doing our own little thing to creating Never Ready Productions in hopes to be not really a label, but a production company that is built for the artist. We want everybody to be on the same page about everything. Like in everything that will involve the artist, it's open discussions. Like there's room to negotiate every single thing, so that everyone feels comfortable with every single move that we make throughout this, the joint or the effort of this company. So I like your goal. It's very much aligns with what we're trying to do here.
Right. I mean, it's music is such a wonderful thing. I mean, it affects every part of your life, whether you know it or not. It really does. I grew up on a horse ranch in the middle of Amish country in Indiana.
Nice.
And I grew up on Merle Haggard.
Where at in Indiana?
We would be about 30 miles straight south, 35 miles straight south of Fort Wayne.
Okay. I got a lot of family from Hammond and Gary in the area.
Okay, yeah.
And they actually just recently moved out of there, lived there for a few generations. So.
Yeah, the area I grew up in, the two towns were 4 miles apart, but you got Bern and Geneva. Both of them named after the Swiss towns.
Gotcha.
Because of, the Amish and a lot of the Swiss who populated the area.
Gotcha.
But I grew up, I could speak Amish, so, my neighbors, all of them were Amish. I was actually adopted into an Amish family. They called me brother, son, so.
Now, this might be a stupid question, but I've never occurred to me. Do the Amish have a full-on language, or is it just the difference? Because I know you say different things, like say once all the time, but that's little thing. Does that have full-on language that I just don't know?
Yeah, they have. It's a Swiss and German mix.
Okay, gotcha. I wasn't aware of that.
So, if you speak German, you might be able to understand a little bit.
I took 2 years German in high school, so I mean, I could probably. I could hear, I can watch German movies or something, and I can understand better than I could speak.
Yeah.
And I can listen along.
About the Henke, about Essenhaus.
No, that's just interesting. Sorry, that was a random. It never occurred to me that they would have a full-on language. I have a buddy who left an Amish community, and he worked with my partner on a construction site, and they would mess with him a lot because he would say once all the time, and they would just be like, yeah, how about twice? or just say random things to him. Sure, not 2 times,
Yeah.
but just little stuff. But I didn't realize that full on different languages.
Yeah, well, my brothers, they eventually told me because I also worked on the construction crews with them and stuff, and they finally told me if we're not going to speak English just for you, so if you want to know what's going on, you better learn.
Yeah.
And and what was really funny, I remember one time I had started working for another Amish crew, and they were back there talking about me. Now, they weren't saying anything bad. But one of them happened to ask the boss a question about me, and I answered it, and he was really
realize
shocked.
it.
He goes, "How did you understand what I said?" I'm like, "Well, I grew up around here, so." But yeah, I grew up on like Merle Haggard and guys like that. My dad was a country guy, and I remember the first time, and I was a teenager, the first time I heard Motley Crue blew my mind. I was like, and I've been a fan ever since.
Yeah.
But I really loved the 80s, call me weird. I'm sure I'm going to get poked at here a little bit, but I love the glam bands, the hair bands, that music was so pure. Compared to today.
Yeah.
I don't try to knock on any artist that's trying to create music, but I'm really not into AI.
Yeah.
I'm not into the digitally enhanced music. I'm not into auto-tune. That stuff is not pure.
I've always used I tell every artist there's songs and then there's songs. I don't think there's any problem with making either of the one, but there's songs that will stand the test of the time and will move you and make you feel something, and then there's songs that are just background noise that like not every song that you're writing needs to be your songs, Elton John or something like that, like a deep song. I make that distinction all the time that there's songs and then there's songs, either one. But I understand completely what you're saying, and I do. There is a beauty to someone's genuine raw performance that is like not, I love I'm ready to get this studio a little bit bigger to be able to do more full live takes instead of breaking artists apart, because I love the recording anything live. You get the actual like little sounds and mess ups. I love the acoustic versions we do of songs, or we just hop in here with the guitar and then play. I love them compared to like us breaking down the entire track and doing making sure every track's perfect, making sure you've done the takes a million times. There's a beauty to that too, and I love that side of it. I love production; it's a great fun. But there is such a pureness that comes from like the genuine, just that's the take, like a one take, play the song. So I'm looking forward to having a bigger studio to the point of setting a full band up and just play. One day I wanted to have like I'll have a ranch and like a guest house on there, and like there'll be one room in the house be like the drum room, one has guitar, one is like, so that everybody's just in different rooms, they can all hear everything, but we can get great quality recording while everyone actually playing together instead of recording one thing at a time like we do now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I look forward to that. There's a purity that comes from just a raw performance.
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously we have our own studios, and we can pull the music apart to the point where we can go in and take a drum beat and move it perfectly in time.
Yeah.
But what happens there is now you're taking away that human element.
Pretty much anytime I program drums, I add a swing to it, so it's like a little bit off. That's just a little bit of flow. I mean, it's still gonna be mechanical. It's not like a real. Actually, we played drums. We have the kit in there. We can play, but yeah, I always try to add a little bit of the humanized element of it.
Right. Yeah, that human element is what makes music really good. Really good.
Yeah.
So I mean, an artist, Let's Janie Lane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was all from in here.
Mm-hmm.
They wrote from in here. Nowadays, you have artists that are having AI write their songs for them.
Yeah, or there's like 14 different writers that never even were in a room together
Right,
working on a song.
right.
Um,
And again, nothing against them trying to create, but
mm-hmm.
to me, we need to get away from that and go back to where music is pure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, we definitely collaborate on projects, but there's a beauty in a song that's been written by one person who has like, it's entirely their vision, from start to
Hmm.
finish. It's like everything has come from them. It's really nice. Like all my songs, they all are me sitting in here by myself because I never really I'm not a musician. I don't claim to be. I'm a producer who makes some music for fun on the
Hmm.
side. I put it out because I'm like, it's just going to sit in my computer otherwise. But for me, it's like a 2 or 3 hour project. I'll make a whole beat. I'll make. I'm not a great singer. I enjoy singing, but so I end up rapping more than that. But that's
Hmm.
just it's. I'm not a singer. Um, but my projects are like 3 or 4 hours, and then I'm done, and then I put it out. But it's entirely just come from me. So I mean, we have two other artists that live in this house, and work here together. So we get a lot of collaboration between the three of us working on stuff. But there's always a distinction. You can tell when the song has been co-written as opposed to there's like a generic element when it's been written by multiple people, because when it's written by one specific person, like they're gonna make references or different little things and say things in ways that we wouldn't have said collectively or that we might have changed as a group.
Right.
So I definitely enjoy like the beauty of something that has been purely written by one
Hmm.
person.
Yeah. I mean, Del Wake is another perfect
Mm-hmm.
example. I mean, he writes from here.
Definitely,
You
man. He's
know.
got some deep songs.
Yep. Yep. And I love his song. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're awesome. And then one of our bands that's on our label, Sins of Eden.
Mm-hmm.
It's spelled SINZ. Um, JC. He writes everything he writes is from here,
Mm-hmm.
and him and Dell kind of quite a bit alike. Um, if you really go in and listen to their music, like Angels Turn Away and stuff like that, it blows your mind. It really does. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dale's got that really deep one. The name escapes me right now. We were talking about it on his episode, the one about his father. Oh man, I wish I could think of it. It's like I want to say something with a B, like Born Again or something. I don't know. I'm probably getting that wrong, but man, super deep song.
Yeah.
I've heard it a few times, and I know they're working on the recording. Uh, but that one, man, he was tearing up talking about it. Just
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
very,
It,
very raw and
personal.
true to him.
Yeah, very personal. I mean, he's pretty open
Yeah.
about his struggles and what he went through, and but he can turn that into some amazing music.
Definitely.
So, excuse me.
No, you're fine. It's sad, but that it has to happen that way, and it doesn't always. But I find a lot of the greatest like pieces when it comes to lyrics come from real sad or down deep places. Um, like one of them I had written with my buddy here. He wrote it all. I very much just produced. I gave him like a prompt essentially. I was like, I need you to sit down and write me like 2 pages that don't not you're not music, just like write about. We picked a topic. We were talking about his mom or both of his parents actually had quite a history of drug abuse when he was
Mm-hmm.
young. So he wrote a song called "On the Floor" about his mom being passed out on the floor again. And with that one, we were trying something new. So we were trying to take the like the rule of three when it comes to writing songs. Like you want two things to match and one to be to stick out. So if the melody and the instrumental are really upbeat, then you want the lyrics to be a little bit darker. So it
Mm-hmm.
resonates. If it's just too poppy and happy or just too sad, it makes it hard to listen to unless you're specifically feeling like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we made it like a more, I don't want to say techno-y, but like a more upbeat, more like I would make for like rapping and stuff. And then he wrote the whole prompt, and then we wrote about his mom. He cried quite a bit, but the acoustic version of that, when you listen, because we recorded that too, because might as well. we put that out. That one resonates with people, man. It really hits because it's very, very deep and true. And it sucks that he had to go through what he went through to get to that point. But it's one of his like deepest songs. Like even when he listens to it, he will tear up about. It's just about wanting your mom to like be there and be around
Right.
and not be like
Yep.
doing all the things. So and we really tried to make it punchy with like you don't fully know it's about his mom until like the last line and he says mom. Uh, but that's stuff like that. Like when it comes from that real raw place, you get a really unique. Like it sucks that most of the time artists have to go through something rough, but it's beautiful what they're able to pull out of that. And it's very inspiring when you can
Yes.
take some horrible thing in your life and make it this beautiful work of art.
Mhm.
Like he was able to do there. Dale was able to do with a good couple of his songs. It's always I therapeutic for the artist typically ends up,
Yeah.
and even me working on it, man. Like it'll help you get through your own stuff just being a part of a project like that. So it's really beautiful what music can do.
Yeah. Music just, you know, Bill and Ted's,
Mhm.
you know, the whole moral of their story was in the future, music's going to save the world.
Mhm.
And I really believe it could,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I believe, and it has, music has united people
Time and time again.
time and time again. I mean, you go to a concert, you meet somebody,
Mm-hmm.
Um, music brought us together,
Yeah.
so it's a very powerful thing.
Mm-hmm. The first thing comes to mind, the wave of when Michael Jackson dropped "Man in the Mirror." Like
Yeah.
there for a little while, like the performances of that song and everything are so impactful, and like just there's times in your life where you have a chance to do something like that with music or really put something out there, and it's amazing when it comes together like that.
Yep. I couldn't live without music.
Mm.
I just couldn't. I listen to music every day, even at work, even at the office.
Mm.
Obviously we do a lot of searching for bands. So I'm always on YouTube or something like that, listening to this, and after talking with you, and I discovered Tara
Mm-hmm.
and Blade.
Yeah.
And I'm very
Especially their
interested.
house.
I'm very interested in them.
Yeah,
We recently decided to start a country division on our label.
man, Tara is very much. She started out more country too. She's pushing a little more poppy, but at the same time, like she has two sides. She wants to write her very deep diary entry sad girl songs, and then her like something she could play in a club, like a more upbeat, but still keeping it true to what she does. Blade, because the way he is and the way he's like grown up, and he's one of my oldest friends, and he is like we could be singing along to like David Allan Coe, and then I could also yell from this side of like on the other side of the house. I could be like everybody, and he'd be like yeah, like we used to piss off his ex, his baby mama, when we lived together once before, and we would just start like one of us would yell from the other side of the house, and we're like screaming boy band songs. But we just love music all around. Like we listen to any genre. So one of his big things is he's really trying to push, which is a lot harder nowadays, but trying to push a genreless artist. Like he's got a country album we're working on. We're not sure if we're gonna drop him as album or singles, but he's got country music. He's got some hard rock music. He's got some of his more like poppy club music you could get. I'll eventually convince him to rap on a track just cause. But no, he's such a broad scope of what he does there, and he plays like every instrument on his tracks. He comes in, he lays down the guitar, the drums, the bass, then he plays lead guitar. He's a phenomenal lead guitar player. But yeah, it's fun trying to create his stuff, being the genreless stuff. Typically, people consider him a country artist because of the way we play and where we play. Most of the places we're playing right now want the acoustic to act or want the small band kind of stuff. But it's fun when we get like he's played at a bluegrass festival and then some like little rock festivals and stuff, and it's funny. We're with different groups. We'll be hanging out with Kingdom Falls, like playing in one of their like lineups, And then the next place he's like hanging out with like, or we're in line with like Sky Pollard and the bluegrassy guys at Eureka Springs. Um, we have yet to branch him into the club area, but that's, more kind of where we're at. We have to travel a little farther for that. Man, he travels all over the place. Him and Tara have shows almost every weekend, and they are all the way north Missouri, all the way south Arkansas. They'd be like Fayetteville, Eureka Springs area a lot. Like towards St. Louis. They're all over the place, man.
They're amazing. I mean, Tara's got such a beautiful voice.
She does.
I mean, when I first heard her, singing some of her own writing, her originals, and then a couple of the covers she played, and she just nailed them.
Mm-hmm.
And my jaw dropped. I was just like,
yeah, she's really good.
Okay, I got to contact her.
And regularly getting better, too, man. You can visually see it, and that's one of the beauties that comes from the practicing the way we do. Because for 2 or 3 years, we drop covers every week, like studio recorded covers. So, like, if you go through Blade's YouTube, Tara's YouTube, and then mine, before we were all consolidated to one, it's just for years we've been doing it. And from the start, both of them have just got phenomenally better. And that's only purely come from how active we've been on top of this, Because at the time, I would have told you they're great. But now, looking back, what they are now compared to then, I'm like, not that they sucked, but me knowing them, I'm like, you sucked compared to what you are now. Like, you're really good now. But again, I've always thought they were great, but they just keep getting better, man. And Tara's even learning to be a recording engineer in here, learning to get to the point of recording herself and recording Blade so they can come in here a lot of nights and just record everything they want, and then I'll just have to come in and do mixing and stuff. We still sit down. We do love the sitting together and working together, and there's a benefit that comes from having a producer in the room. But there is also a benefit when it comes to being by yourself in the room. You have that bravery to just do whatever you want, but having the producer there to bounce ideas off of or to tell you honestly, someone that'll be honest too, that's like, you could do better, or when they're second guessing themselves, like they really want to change this line, and I'm like, man, that's my favorite line, don't get rid of it, I like it, which has happened, stuff like that a lot. So it's really good to have her learning to do that too, because then that's going to benefit her and Blade both so much, just able to sit in here as the artist and do their thing, and instead of just always having to rely on having a producer around.
Yeah, I am looking forward to actually meeting them. I really am. I'm excited. And that's a good thing about my job. I'm actually the chief operation officer of our company. I answer to one person, and that is Rockgirl. But the good part of my job is discovering these artists.
Yeah, being the producer, which I'm, slowly progressing more into that. Actually, I started as his manager before we even knew what a manager really was, which I was very much a producer at that time too, but I was booking all of his shows and doing all that until we stopped working with the studio we were before, and then I had to take on learning to become a producer. So in that time, he has switched to doing his own booking. Him and her, they both book. And I have become producer and the guy running Never Ready Productions, but lost my train of thought there. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
It happens. But no, we in general stay pretty on top of it. They're playing so much, man. Would you live in Mountain Home?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I'll have to show you or send you the next few dates they'll be in Mountain Home too, because then you can just go hang out with them there.
Yeah, awesome. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I'm just so excited to meet them.
Yeah, no,
I'm so impressed. Yeah, I really am.
Yeah, they're excited to chat with you too. We've talked about it a few times.
And this morning I woke up, and the first thing that come out of my mouth was a song. And my mom is 78 years old, and so she was living in Indiana. She was by herself, so we moved her in with us so we could take care of her. And she goes, "Do you dream this stuff at night and wake up singing, or?" And I'm like, "No." I said, it's just music, and I love it, and it just comes out. It just comes out. So, yeah, that's our motivation behind Rockgirl is just the artist and the music. I mean, we have no desire to become rich, famous. That is not even close to our goal.
Mm.
Our goal is to see Del Wake, Levi, Jake, Dallas,
Mm-hmm.
to them to become famous.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we want to see. Even if they don't become famous, at least get their music heard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, and that's one thing we never promise any of our artists that we can do that.
No, you can't. And
Because
that's not a promise
you
you can make.
can't, you can't.
It mostly is going to come down to the artist and how much they work on their own stuff anyway.
Right.
Like, you can only do so much for an artist. They have to, if you want it to be, I mean, it's your life. You can't put your life in anybody else's hands entirely. Like, if you want to be the biggest artist in the world, you're going to have to work at the level of what the biggest artist in the world is doing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing most of their stuff that they, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can always take the help and anywhere you can and make those connections and start working with more people as you go. But they have to be they're the CEO of their own life,
Right?
like, for sure.
Right.
But yeah, I feel that I very much want to help the artist. I, just being who I am, dive into it a little more personally. Like, I tell a lot of my artists, of course, I'm going to work as hard as I can to help you become the best artist you can be. But me personally, I'm working so much harder trying to help them be the best version of themselves and just all of life in general. Like, me and Blade working together throughout, because we started together. We also got together at very low points in our life. And we were just working construction one day, and I was like, how about we take this seriously? Because he's always been one of the best artists I've ever known.
Mm-hmm.
But just throughout the time of us doing it, obviously he's become way more of a phenomenal artist, and like, people know him now as an artist, not just as the guy with the acoustic. You Google his name, and it's the first thing that pops up: American musician, Blade Law, all this stuff. Like, it's become a thing. But more important than any of that to me, like, the success in all the music is secondary to me. I care so much more about the fact that he went from not having seen his kids in a few months due to various circumstances to now having full custody of his kids for years now. Man, he had a cheating girlfriend at the time we got together, and he was an alcoholic, and now he's in a very happy relationship, doesn't ever drink. It was raining in various points of this house, and that he was just content with that. We put an entire new roof on the house. Like, all the little changes to his actual life that have made him happier and better as a person is so much more important to me than the fact that now he's a Googleable musician.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, it is very important to just be a human being. That'll get you so much further in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good to hear someone in your position be saying that too, because that's what's the problem with a lot of the music industry nowadays is artists are no longer, like, nobody wants to look at them as the human. They want to look at this band as an item of, like, what can I get from this band?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the sad part about the music industry now, and why we have pulled way back and have stuck with the independent thing, or even the small independent label, as opposed to, like, the big three that you're, like, getting screwed. And they own you, and they don't care. It's like, push out this, make some money. If you don't make enough money, screw you, you're fucked, it's sad to see so many artists go down that path too. Very talented artists too, because they'll seek out the guys that are already doing it by themselves and doing good, and then they'll throw a bunch of money in their face, which is now debt they have to pay back.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they'll buy all this stuff because they were promised all this life, and now they owe all this money, and they aren't putting out as much product because now the label's like, we'll do all this, and they ease back, and then they're just screwed. They're in debt for most of their life and it's just happened time and time again to artists.
Yep.
It's so sad.
Yep.
So it's good to hear someone, like, who's doing the music label thing, or even what we're doing here. Like, it's rare, and it makes me feel really good about it all the time when I work with artists, about the fact that, like, I know if they're here or with someone like you, they're genuinely not trying to get fucked. Like, you're trying to do the best we can for you.
Right.
And
Now, as a label, we have made investments in, like, Sins of Eden,
Mm-hmm.
but we have never said you have a deadline.
Mm.
You know, you have to pay that investment back now or this or that. The thing that comes out of our mouth is it's not about the money.
Mm.
It's about you. Okay, all that will come at some point. We just got to get you guys to be you guys, to be Sins of Eden. Make sure everything is right in your life, because if it's not, that's going to interfere with your progression.
Mm-hmm.
So, it just being human is what the world has gotten away from. And then, like you say, within the music industry, it's just like such a machine, and there's no heart behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very important to us, very important to Rockgirl. Um, after the podcast, we moved here, and she could tell that I was hurting, because I missed my podcast, I missed my friends, all this other stuff. And, we decided, well, let's start a management company. You can manage some bands, that'll put you close into the bands and stuff like that. I was, yeah, right. So then, again, Kingdom Falls,
Mm-hmm.
Dale, was one of our first clients. And I had a blast with him, but we had such a great response, and even how much Dale, Dallas, Levi, and Jake taught me, was I couldn't repay that back, and it was not where they sat down and said this or this. It's just through their everyday lives that taught me things,
Mm-hmm.
So I actually owe Kingdom Falls a lot. But yeah, they helped me understand and learn to where our company has grown, and it grown faster than we thought. And we have several artists on the label now, somewhere around 9.
Mm-hmm.
We just added a band called the New Lithium. New is spelled just NU.
Gotcha.
Uh, they're a great group of guys, but the thing with me personally, you could call up any handful of my friends, and the first thing they're going to tell you is Niki can fall in the shit pit and come out smelling like a rose. you know, because my dad was a fairly wealthy man. My mom was not. So I kind of grew up in both worlds. So
Yeah, similar situation actually.
yeah, I'm very humble. I don't drive fancy vehicles. I have a 2007 Hummer. I've got 2007 Dodge Durango. That's the beater.
Mm-hmm.
I live in a small home. And I'm very humble with that. Very humble. I don't want any more. And but the good thing about my dad is my dad was such a hard worker. And everything that my dad has, he worked for. And I learned that from my dad. And there is nothing in this world that's not obtainable.
Absolutely. I tell all the people I work with that if anyone ever has ever done it, you can do it. We've
Right.
all started with the exact same, like we're all just born nothing. You ain't got nothing. I mean, your parents might have some stuff, your parents might not. But in that moment, we are all exactly the same. So anything anybody's ever done has all come from that moment. So you can
Right.
do it.
Right. And the thing is, I've started 3 successful, but I've started more, but 3 of them was very successful. Uh,
Congrats.
One was a roadside assistance company. The other was a property management company.
Hmm.
And now we have Rockgirl Management Group. Um, and all 3 of those, I started with absolutely nothing. Nothing.
Hmm.
My roadside, I had a few tools, enough that I could do the job. And I built it up to where my company was first call from the insurance companies, and it was a banger business, you
Nice.
know, and I sold it, you know, you know, my dad called.
It sounds like music has been really the thing that you kind of wanted to be or wanted to be doing this whole time. And when you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, pretty quickly it starts to weigh on you, and you start feeling like the call to leave that. So
It
it
does. I
doesn't
mean,
surprise me that you sold the other businesses.
we've all had, my eyes are watering like crazy. I don't know if it's the lights or what,
Oh,
but
sorry.
they're
I can kill this one.
no, you're fine. I just but well, see, now I lost my train of thought. Um,
Sorry, the light thing distracted me too.
so now we're
We were talking about
com-
selling your business though,
okay.
and
Yes,
music
yes,
drawing you
yeah.
in.
So yeah, I mean, music has been from the moment I heard Motley Crue. It has changed my life, you know, and you know, my wife, Rock Girl, who actually started Rock Girl Management Group, um, her she's kind of a little younger than I am, so she's kind of the puddle of mud type girl,
Yeah.
and then, she grew up in Little Detroit, Toledo, and so a lot of Eminem and
Mm,
rap, which I'm not a huge rap fan, and I don't really like alternative because it destroyed my.
gotcha.
But no, I like, Pearl Jam and
Hmm.
Nirvana and stuff like that, and I do like some Eminem and
Well, there's a difference in. It seems to me like you're more of a melody guy, which comes from the music. Like rap, there is no melody to it. Rap is another form of rhythm, and so like if you were to break a song down between the instruments, like you got your rhythm coming from your drum and potentially your bass, and then you got your melody coming from your guitar or your piano.
hmm
Vocals, when you sing a song, if you hum the lyrics, it's a melody.
hmm
If you hum a rap, it's a drum cadence. So raps are rhythm. So it's
yes,
just
yeah,
rhythm on rhythm. So for there, it becomes if you have to be. I mean, it's another form of poetry, but you have to become a fan of like clever twist more than anything because it's just drum cadences. It's vocally is all it is. So I can understand the distinction when people aren't rap fans because it's entirely a different thing. It's
hmm
there's a beauty in itself, but it's the difference in rhythm and melody.
yeah. And again, I mean, I'm not a fan, but
Can respect it.
there's a respect, and then there is some like Eminem and Snoop, and there are elements that I thoroughly enjoy and I like and I
Hmm.
appreciate. Now, so if music touches you, then it's done its job. I don't care what it is, what
Hmm.
genre, what it is. If it touches you, it's done its job.
Well said.
So, yeah, I mean, I've never given up. You never quit.
Hmm.
You keep soldiering on. Like when I broke my back in 2014 and I became paralyzed, it was over. I was a firefighter. I was a medic, you know, and then I had my kids. And at that time, I just had a newborn,
Mm.
you know, and it was just all over with. my life, my career. All I could do was lay in a bed. I was doped up on drugs because of the pain. I mean, I would not wish what I went through on Satan himself.
Mm.
It was horrible.
I'm sorry.
Horrible. And but I didn't quit. You know, I fought and I fought and I fought and I fought. I fought with doctors. I mean, I was kicked out of hospitals
Mm.
because I wouldn't take no for an answer. You know, so they literally kicked me out of a hospital before.
Man.
And you know, I kept going, and that's the key. You know, for especially for any artist. You know,
Oh, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
yeah,
You can't give up. Just keep on
you
trucking.
just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your fingers hurt. Keep going. You know, I always tell our artists, if you truly want to try to make it to the big show, then you're going to have to starve it to death.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to be willing to put, like, there's no shadow of doubt in your mind. Like, I tell every person I work with or musician, nobody in this world is going to believe you're a rock star if you don't believe you're a rock star
Right.
first. Like, you have to be 100% committed to, this is the life I want. I've made Blade and Terra, and I've done it myself. We take a piece of paper, write your name at the top, and write every single thing about what that person is and is going to be in life. And, like, whether it's, I don't care what if it's a money thing, you're like, I'm worth $100 million. I am, but say it in the present, like, this is what I am. I am a good father. I am honest. I am, a top musician. Whatever it is that you want to build that person, write it all out. Have the picture and the image of where you want to be and who you are. And then if it's not on that list of your promises to yourself, then you just don't do it. That's not part of who you are or what your life is about. You have to have that clear image. And then that level of belief in yourself is the only thing that's going to get you there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to keep that goal in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you come to the Y in the road, you take right or you take left.
Mm.
You know, you take the path that feels right,
Mm-hmm.
and you follow it. You know, don't let. You know, there's so many people in the world today that they generally want you to fail.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Definitely.
almost like it's instinctual for human beings now to want other humans to fail.
Yeah, I've talked about that a few times. I feel the same way.
Yeah, and here's the thing. When I meet somebody, I always hope that they like me. But not everybody's going to like you,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And there's always going to be somebody that's going to try to drag you down and drown you,
Mm-hmm.
you know? You cannot let those people affect you because it's not you that they're really mad at. There's something in their life.
Mm-hmm.
So pursue them. See what you can do to help them. And you'll be amazed at how your life changes.
Mm-hmm. When you start to live a life more set around a life of service,
Mm-hmm.
it becomes way more fulfilling. And I've noticed the biggest changes in my life have come from being that, from switching my stuff to, or my life to doing everything I can to make my life better, to now I have been primarily focused on making my team's life better, and in turn they try to do the same for me. And it's propelled us so much farther than any selfish desire I had in the past.
Yeah, I've been there. I was a young man and a teenager that it was all about me, 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 me,
Mm-hmm.
me, you know? And it never got me anywhere.
No.
Never.
And if you do happen to get anywhere, you end up pretty quickly. You're kind of lonely.
Oh, yeah, you're lonely and you'll get knocked down real quick. Real
Definitely.
quick. So, you know, it's important to just stay humble. And as an artist, you are in service for other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're creating music that these people are going to hear, you know, at some point,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's locally, regionally, nationally, or internationally. Somebody's going to hear your music, and it's going to affect their life.
Mm-hmm. That's the greatest hope there. Um, you know, personally, not being a musician, which I think any musician should make their music for them. But like for me, the greatest part or joy of the song is when it's actually fully like I'm giving it the final listen and I'm like, it's done. And then I upload it to the world and then I rarely ever listen to it again. But that's just how I am because it was just like that's a 1 day project. Um, but so for me, like that's the full fulfillment. There is the joy of making the project because I did it all for me. Like I'm not, I don't go into it thinking about the listener as much as I probably should, but some musicians should. But at the same time, if you do it too much, then you're catering to an audience and not creating what you actually want to create. Um, but I feel like the greatest joy and hope for an artist is that even if it's not the way that you felt or the song makes you feel, that your music can resonate with somebody in that way of making them feel something emotionally, whatever it may be.
Right, right. Rock Girl is about me and Rock Girl.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's about us. It gives us something to do. It gives us a job. You know, it gives us
Like fulfillment.
Whatever fulfillment it is. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and but that's ours.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so we, in return, give back to our artists. I mean, we want them to succeed, and that's important.
Yeah.
You know, and we will go the mile if they're willing to go the mile.
Mm. I tell that same similar thing to any of the artists I work with, because I try to not just be like a producer. Like an engineer. Like if you're coming to work with me, I'm gonna do the absolute best I can to help you. I've told everybody I worked with that I will do anything I possibly can to help you succeed. My only requirement is that you match my energy.
Yeah.
Like if I'm coming, if
Right.
I'm full steam ahead, let's make your career happen. I'll film the content, I'll edit the videos, I'll put you on the podcast, I'll record your music, I'll do everything. I just need you to match my energy. I don't need to be calling you like, hey, you're supposed to be here at your studio time. I need them like showing up a little bit early, ready. Like we're getting this, we're going.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to do video days. Like I don't want to have to track you down and do everything. But if you will give me a certain level of energy, I will give the exact same to you, if not more.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's exactly kind of our motto. Is if you invest in yourselves, we will invest in you.
No, I love that. It's great.
So and that's you know artists on our label, they never have to pay for studio time.
Yeah, same. Any of the artists I reg that are never ready artists to me, they're just here. Any day you want to hop in, you hop in.
Yep. Now we have a sound engineer that is not Rock Girl,
Mm-hmm.
so he does charge,
Mm-hmm.
but very reasonable rate.
Oh yeah, no, I've done super cheap charging for the final mix and master of a song.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not with you. Like my studio, I don't charge hourly in general to
Mm-hmm.
people. Even to just people coming in, I charge per the project.
Right.
Like if you want to come in and do like a cover song, I'm like, give me $100. I'll do the whole thing. I'll do my separate days. I'll edit the video. I'll do all.
Right.
I try to be
Mm-hmm.
because I know my area and I know my audience, and I don't have like top big artists that can come dump 10 grand to do an album in the
Right.
studio.
Right.
So I'm like, you want to do a song for $150 or something,
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
it may be. But I never charge the studio time. Like you could come in, we could work on the same song for 2 months straight, just coming in and working on this every day, and I'm never gonna charge you until it's like, okay, you want me to now come and spend my day instead of doing whatever I need to do to mix and master your song. That's when I'm like, small fee, but it's always $100. I think the most I've ever charged for a song was maybe 300 or 350, and that was a difficult client that did that prolonged recording. It was so much, and then wanted tweaks in the mix, wanted to come re-record stuff, and I'm like, all right, It's gonna be a little bit more than $100 because geez,
Right,
but
right. And it's just like, like again, we're not in the label business to make millions of dollars, but
everyone's got to eat.
yeah, I mean, we still have to eat. There are still costs. Like we do a lot of promotions, a lot of marketing, booking,
Mhm.
and you know, a lot of these other labels out there are charging $3,000 and $5,000 for an artist to come on, and and we don't do that. Yes, we have a small fee.
I would,
I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, no, a lot of our stuff is like basically pro bono. Like we get, I'm doing the work for free, and if I don't bring you in things, then I'm not getting any money. But if you do a show, then I get a small cut of the show because I worked as a book,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I don't know how exactly you guys run
Well,
your
we
stuff, but
basically kind of do the same thing, but with, again, kind of goes along with you invest in you, yourselves will invest in you. We charge a band $250
Mhm.
to come on board.
Yeah, that's very reasonable.
It's nothing. And then a monthly fee.
That's one of those like you have to at least charge a little because you could be like, sure, we'll do all this, and then that artist doesn't ever show up for that whole first month. Like
Well,
you don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
You got to see how it goes, to keep somebody in. But yeah, very much you match my energy. You invest in yourself, I'll invest in you, kind of mindset.
Yeah, pushing promotions on Facebook costs money,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
So nothing is free, but we're not trying to empty the artist's pockets. We're not trying to.
Mm-hmm.
We just are trying to just. We're not profiting anything. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
But and we don't care. That's not the whole point. But we do. I mean, I'm literally up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and by 6 o'clock I'm working,
Mm-hmm.
and I sometimes don't get off the computer or off the phone till 11 o'clock at night.
No, yeah, I get that. It's an all day thing.
Yep, yeah. So there's a lot of hours and a lot of time and a lot of paperwork and a lot of, so
Yeah.
much behind the scenes that a lot of people don't see, and it.
Yeah.
It's got to work.
Yeah. No, something has to keep the wheels
So
going.
something has to keep, the gears greased,
Mm-hmm. No, I get that.
And so, but and then our contract is 20% across the board.
Yeah. No, perfectly reasonable. I'm right around the exact same
Yeah.
thing. No, yeah. See, everything you're saying, all of our goals very very much line up here. That's why I mean when I said in the beginning of this, everything about my label or my team here, production company, more than a label, is open discussion. Like with everything like that, I will sit down with anybody involved, and we all know like money has to come from somewhere, something has to happen. But we will negotiate and renegotiate as many times as it takes until everyone feels happy.
Right.
Like I want to
right.
make sure the artist feels happy, the producer feels happy, the engineer, whether it's me or somebody else. Like everybody needs to make sure they feel happy, and I that's where I don't want people to always be like, because when I say a label for the artist, so people come in and like expect all this free stuff and everything. I'm like, money has to come from somewhere.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we'll discuss until we are all happy.
Yeah, the lights.
Yeah,
cost
everything
money.
costs money.
I mean,
Everything costs money in here, man.
And the thing about it is these artists are starting to understand what's going on in the industry. Like these artists are getting tired of pay to play. They're tired of door splits and ticket sales.
Oh man, that's like the biggest scam in here. I hate it. I will right away. I will turn down shows if all they want to offer is ticket splits. I said I will have a flat rate fee of like I'll go cheaper on days like that. I'm like I'm gonna need at least like $200 to show up.
Right.
Because there's no guarantee for me, especially if we're in a different town that like we don't have an audience there. I have no guarantee that you're gonna bring in X amount of heads to get me my check, and I have to spend gas money, and we have to get babysitters or do various things to make sure we can be there. So it's like straight ticket splits. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that these venues, and most of them are bars or that they have overhead. I totally get that. They got to make their money. Yeah. But, these artists, musicians, They spend a lifetime perfecting their craft.
Mm-hmm.
They don't punch a time clock.
Mm-hmm.
They work forever.
Yeah, if you had an employee in your business who had put in 20 years of experience, he's one of your top guys. He's getting paid pretty good. But I got like Blade, who has played guitar and sang for 20 years of his life practicing, and they don't treat it that same way because they don't have like the huge accolades. Like, it's not Taylor Swift coming to your venue, so they're not going to pay you out the ass.
Right.
But you're like, I am working. And then also, man, not to mention the equipment. We've had people offer us the exact same amount of money to come host an open mic as to perform. And I'm like, so you're telling me my equipment rental is the exact same as my time to come perform and do this? And I'm like, that's not... Like, you got to think about every artist that's up here putting their time into it. When we had a full band, we were charging anywhere between $600 to $1,000 minimum from a lot of shows. Now that it's them, it's like, it just depends. We very much play to the crowd too. If it's a small little dive bar like locally, they'll give you an hour or two for $100-$150 or something. You know, fine, great. But if it's like we got to drive, we go to Eureka Springs a lot, or to Hot Springs, or Fayetteville and all that, I'm like, we're gonna need some money. We got to drive there and the truck with all the equipment, because that's worse on gas with how, so the money has to come from somewhere.
Yeah, a band is no different. I mean, they have overhead. They got maintenance on their vehicles. They've got gas. They've got maintenance on their equipment. What if their equipment fails? They got to go out and buy new equipment. And this stuff is not cheap.
No, we've had to do that multiple times. Right there, last minute at a gig, you got to run to the nearest, like, even a pawn shop, because I got to grab something to work, and it sucks.
Yeah, and even again, their time, that they've put in to perfect their craft is worth something.
Absolutely.
And I just get, and you're a venue wanting an artist to come and entertain your guests. Why does my artist have to pay for that?
No, you want me to provide a service,
right?
So I'm going to get paid for that service.
Right.
We have never done a pay-to-play venue, and I don't think we ever will. I don't agree with it.
I mean, we avoid them as much as possible, but we do discuss it. And if the guys go ahead and say, hey, we want to do it, then okay.
Man, if it's a genuine promotional thing, like say if we had a pay-to-play scenario to open for a big band, we're going to take that opportunity because it's the exposure that the big band is going to bring. But most of the cases we've dealt with, like, you're not gonna play with that pay-to-play idea. There's gonna be exceptions,
right? But
it really is gonna depend.
We have a band brigade. They recently paid. They're scheduled to go, but they paid to go to the Whiskey A Go Go. Nice. And you'll never know who's going to be in the Whiskey A Go Go, and your life can change. Like that.
Yeah, big festivals would be another exception. Like, I'd probably pay for a slot at Rocklahoma or something like that. Like, there's stuff there's exceptions, but most of like the type of venue, especially in our area, most of that stuff is not going to be a pay.
Right, and that's something I want to spread the word about. Is if producers such as yourself, musicians, independent label owners like us, stuff like that, if we all stand together and get together and just say we're not doing it anymore, then they're eventually going to have to start paying again.
Yeah, they'll have no choice.
They'll have
if they want live music, then they're going to have to pay for live music.
Because they use COVID to their advantage.
Yeah, it's changed a lot since then.
Right. So COVID has really messed things up for artists and musicians, and they've taken advantage of that, and it's time to take control again. And that's again, that's something that we're about. We don't want musicians and artists paying to do what you want them to do.
Yes, I completely agree.
So,
man, and with the way music is now, like, artists 110% get screwed when it comes to the revenue of actual streams on music nowadays. Because it used to be, you put an album out for $10 and you sell 1 million copies, you made $10 million, which obviously there's cuts going to every which way for that. Who knows what the band's actual percentage of that album is. But now you get like a stream on Spotify, and before they would have had to buy the album to do that, now you get 0.004 cents per your one stream. Like, so if the artist is already getting screwed on their music being streamed everywhere pretty much for free, they need to at least be compensated and taken care of when it comes to the live performance ends of
Oh,
things.
absolutely. And again, I despise streaming services because they take advantage of these artists. Plus, they allow their market to be flooded. And again, I'm not trying to diss on the bedroom producer or the bedroom musician, but these bedroom artists just flood the market.
There's 1 million songs a week uploaded to Spotify.
Right.
And like
And,
it's hard to
how
follow.
are we
Supposed to stick out of that, you know?
Yeah, well, not even for us to stick out, but how are we supposed to find Blade or Terra?
Throughout the sea of
Throughout the sea of stuff.
Yeah, and with even the AI thing you mentioned earlier, you can now I see like ads all the time while I'm scrolling, and they're always like cheesy actors being like, "That's me," you know, where you can like make yourself sing a love song for your wife using AI. I'm like, there's people I know there is. They're recording all of their music by loading the prompt, talking into a mic for a bit so that the thing can register their vocal range, and then it makes a perfect song recorded by them. And I'm like, there's people getting like Drake on their song. It's not even on their song. It's just like an AI thing.
I know, and
that's crazy.
That's I hate to say it, but it's horrible.
No, yeah,
it's horrible.
It takes away from the real artist for
it's
sure.
Horrible. I can't sing a lick. That's why I was a drummer. I can't sing to save my life, but I would much rather get in front of 1,000 people and sing than to be fake and use AI. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm not trying. Again, it's just, streaming services, Facebook, YouTube, all those stuff has damaged the live music industry. And even though Facebook, Instagram, YouTube does have its benefits because, number one, your podcast.
And we've met through all of that.
Right. We met through all that. And it does spread a message. Your podcast has very positive messages.
Appreciate that.
And, that gets around. But yet again, why does people want to pay? Okay, I recently looked up how much it would cost to book Metallica. $1.5 million.
Ooh. Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure how accurate and updated that is, but that's what I found.
Yeah, but man, even just that general idea is insane.
Right, and then the production at one, and I love Metallica, love them, but the production they put on is very costly, and then when you buy a ticket for $1,000, $1,700 to see Metallica, that's what you're paying for.
Everybody's got to get reimbursed for all the money.
Everybody's going to get reimbursed, but
live shows are investments, and a lot of the fan don't realize that, or I think the viewers, everything here that has all been culminated into this one event has been planned and paid for throughout months of getting this together.
Right.
And now the reason we have to charge you at the door, or charge you so much, or charge you so much for drinks and all this various things, is so that everybody can get compensated. That's why live merch is so much more expensive than hopping on online and ordering merch from the band.
Right.
Because they have to make a little extra money for their expense of traveling on the road and doing all the things.
Absolutely.
It gets expensive. But
it gets very expensive.
Rightly so.
But the key is, since live music has been damaged, that also has increased the price. Why would I want to go out and spend that kind of money on Metallica when I can just pull them up on YouTube?
Yeah. You can watch live shows on YouTube if you want.
And that's a lot of the mindset nowadays. But think about the experience that you have at a live show.
Sadly, a lot of people and a lot of the newer generations haven't even experienced an actual real live event. At most it's like a guy singing in the corner of the room,
right?
And just like cool, but
or even during COVID, we went to our local drive-in movie theater and they were having concerts that way.
Nice.
Which was kind of neat kind of cool, but it wasn't the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, you will never, ever have that feeling watching YouTube that you would at a live event.
No, like music is frequency, and you can feel it. So the feeling of the actual bass rumble from the speakers, the feeling in that you get in your head and the rattle from the crowd yelling all at the
Yeah,
same time. There's an
yeah.
infectious energy at a live performance that isn't anywhere else.
That is my heaven.
Yeah.
It's
I've always
my
been a
heaven.
music guy too. I just love it.
You know, I am a huge Kiss fan, and I've never been to a Kiss concert. And their last tour, the end of the road tour that they did, I got to watch them in Dayton, Ohio. My wife, Rockgirl, got me tickets,
Nice.
and I got to see them. And dude, I cried like a baby. I cried like a baby. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
Amazing. So, it's important that everybody, go support, go see the live bands, your local bands, that's their bread and butter, and it's so important. We need to get back to going to the live shows.
Definitely.
We need to get back to supporting like Ragnarok in Mountain Home. They are trying so hard.
I know the liquor license thing has been a headache for
Yeah,
them. If that would help a lot, but man, that place has been so back and forth with various owners and stuff. We were technically banned from Oasis because the owner didn't like me. We got into an argument because he was trying to significantly undercut Blade on what he was worth. Ignored us, blew us off when we were trying to play there, and like made a point to like be obvious about it, and then hit us up when he had a cancellation that day and was like, I need you guys here tonight for like half the cost of what we charge. And I was like, last minute? No. Yeah, Blade was like, first he was like, yeah, and then Blade told me about it, and I was still his manager at the time, and I was like, send me his number, because no. And then, so that really pissed him off that Blade already said yes, and then I told him, no, sorry, it got back to me now, and I have to get the whole band together. It's last minute, so we for sure have to get babysitters, which we had to find last minute. I was like, you literally want us to be there in like 3 hours, ready with the entire band, and you want to pay us like $100? And I was like, no, sorry, you need us now. You blew us off when we were trying to talk to you, and he put us on the ban list. We weren't allowed to come back. I'm like, okay.
Well, and that's that's really doesn't surprise me. Like,
no, I've heard a lot of things about the original. I won't name him, but
right. I mean, well, and this like Rockgirl gets no support. Like, we can't get the radio station to work with us. We can't. Why? Because we're a rock and metal label.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest reason. But I mean, we are again hopefully adding country artists and stuff like that. But we get no support from our community. Like, we are spending our money. And I'm not asking you for money. I'm asking you to play our music.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hard for a radio station to program an hour
Mm-hmm.
to play local bands or regional bands or whatever. It's not that difficult, and they won't even talk to me.
I know. We have played on the local radios a few times. We went in and played live on the radio and all this, and then, I mean, they played stuff consistently for like a few weeks, and then dropped off and sent. That was all free, and it just was working out that way. But since then, man, we've had multiple times when we've offered like, what would it cost? How much? What do we need to get like one song in rotation, even once a day for like a month? Just throw it in like. And they'll just blow you off. They won't even give you the time of day.
Yeah.
It's almost like they just don't want to deal with it. It's just a little extra work, and they're like, nope, ain't doing it. And I'm like, man, you guys, You're a radio host. You're supposed to love radio, love music. Like love doing that. And you're the local guy out at all the events. Multiple. We've done it with a few different stations around here too, but it's a lot harder to get support in your local area. Or in general nowadays, music, which I have talked about before. I have a pretty strong theory about working in your local area, which I've built through the years of us doing this. Because like when we go out of town, the support is unreal. People are like, where have you been? Like, and all the people coming up and doing stuff. But in your local area, you can't even get the people that have supported you your whole life to come out to a show.
And I don't understand that.
I genuinely feel like when you're doing something, especially in your local area, like where you're from, it just reminds all the other people from there of their shortcomings. So like say I say somebody I went to high school with is like now seeing me do all this, instead of supporting me, they're probably going to be a little bit more negative and potentially bash me on the internet or various things, because them thinking like, man, I graduated with this guy. We were in the same place in high school. Now he's getting to do all this, and I've got my 9 to 5 that I hate, and I'm doing all this. So I really feel like, especially in your hometown, that it just reminds all the other people that have known you forever what they're not doing. So it makes it harder for them to support and lean into it. That's just my theory on it. I don't have solid evidence for that.
Right.
But
right.
I've just noticed the trend of that being the case for at least what I feel for a while now.
Yeah. I mean, it's a struggle enough, but again, I'm old school. The newer generation just kind of drives me nuts with some of their thoughts and theories, but again, my kids call me old man, so I don't know. Things were amazing. I wished like my kids could just go back in time for 1 week and spend time in the 80s. And really see what it was about. And I'm sure that the generation after me says the same thing. I wish my kids could go back to the 90s because,
And even my generation, like, it feels so different now than it was. Like, I know, like, Warped Tour was a huge thing at the time, like, in the later, and then I know they're bringing back, like, a Warped Tour, but who knows what it'll be, what it'll entail, how close it'll be. But so many of like the big festivals and things like that, they were all regular that like I was looking forward to becoming an adult and able to go do these things. Like most of them have died and aren't a thing anymore. Like since then, and it's a lot harder to go find. There's your select few. I haven't had the chance to go to Rocklahoma yet. Blade has, but like that's a big one that I've always wanted to go to that I will end up going to. But a lot of the stuff that like I looked forward to, even just like MTV was the music channel, and then it became the reality TV channel, and we're watching like Jersey Shore and Teen Mom. Like I very much always wanted to go to like the MTV Spring Break. Like the big crazy, it's just concerts galore and like big party. That looks so cool to me, like growing up, and it all has just become it's not a thing anymore.
No, and MTV was in my time. We had Headbangers Ball.
Yeah.
Amazing. Awesome stuff. MTV was real, Headbangers Ball was real, and it's kind of funny that you brought that up because we've not made this very public yet, but I guess I'm going to now. Is Rockgirl is working on buying a network on the streaming TV services and
You're
launching
talking like Netflix and Hulu and all that stuff. Okay.
Yep. And launching RAM TV, which is rock and metal music TV.
Nice.
And of course, we are going to do music videos. We're going to do music videos from the 70s and 80s, and we're also going to offer local artists and bands the opportunity to put their music videos on.
Nice. So you're talking like how the MTV for years, it was like a certain hours of the day, it was just music videos, like nonstop. You can do the same kind of thing.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
And then we're going to, probably have a couple time slots for talk shows.
Yeah.
or to go stream a live concert somewhere or
Bring bands on
show.
and talk with
Yep,
interviews and
bring
stuff.
bands on and have. Yep,
No, I love that.
absolutely. So that's an idea that we are working very hard on.
I love that.
The problem is, to be honest, I don't have a technician. So we're looking for a tech. If anybody,
You
uh,
talking video or audio or just all
well,
around?
all around somebody that, because I'm a little out of touch with technology. I'm not gonna lie. Um, so my kids teach me more than I teach them when it comes to that. But yeah, we're looking for somebody that can do the all around
Hmm.
technical stuff for that. We're going to offer the opportunity if a band doesn't have a video, we'll produce a video for them, at a very reasonable cost,
Yeah.
And then, at a very reasonable cost, put their videos on, because again,
Everything costs money.
everything, you got to keep the gears greased.
No, but that's, to me, that would be so much better, like paying a time slot on something that would be on literally just the streaming services, to have my music video pop up on there, as opposed to running $10 a day ads on Facebook or something like that, which it's going to be seen by a certain amount of people at least on those ads, but there's no guarantee of engagement. If someone's watching a rock and music or rock and metal TV channel, they're looking to see the music. So it seems like a much better place to invest on an ad, essentially, or time slot like that,
Yeah.
than random ads.
We're we're going to offer, local businesses to advertise. So, that's something we're really working on. And, just kind of the thing slowing us down right now is not having that technician.
Well, potentially, Never Ready Productions can maybe help out, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We can always sit down and talk.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, it sounds like we got to have a meeting anyway. Get you sitting and talking or meeting at least the artist here.
Yeah.
And then we can chat about what's going on with all the whole team. But yeah, do you guys do all your bands run their own socials and everything too? Or is that
They
something you
do,
label?
but that's something we offer. I
Nice.
mean, if
It's
they
good.
want to turn their socials over to us, then yeah, we take it over.
Cool. We do here too. My wife runs a lot of that. But yeah, it's you definitely want to, any artist, double down. Even if you got somebody running your stuff, be on there also. Post all the time. I always tell the people that we do run it for that there's two types of content for both halves of your audience. There's music content that is just like, you perform part of the song, or the generic little green screen videos we do. All that is to make somebody potentially hear a song they haven't heard yet, or maybe get it stuck in their head kind of thing, so they come back for it. But then there's the other half of your content, which is something more like this, where they're getting to know me, they're getting to know you. Like, so the first part, they hear your music, it draws them in. The second part is they get to know you now. You've already drawn them in. They're like, cool music. Now what makes them a fan is them liking you, not specifically your music. Because people buy from people they like. So in order to make lasting fans, most of the artists you like, or is because you know something about them. You like something about the person, especially nowadays with social media the way it is. Like, how many movies do people go to because it's a Tom Cruise movie?
Right.
So you're going to see it because it's Tom Cruise. Same idea with music. You like, people know him and like him, or whatever it may be. So if they know you and like you, then they'll listen to your stuff. I have artists that I've listened to music they put out that, in my opinion, honestly wasn't that great. The only reason I was even listening to it in the first place is because I liked the artist. So they get any artists that are on actively being on social, which you kind of have to nowadays. Think about that. Like, there's two kinds of content. There's promo, and then there's get to know you. So that's really important.
Yeah, and that's we run a lot of promo and stuff, and actually we have a representative in West Virginia right now as we speak. They are in the studio with Sins of Eden, getting behind the scenes stuff.
That's
because we're going to be putting that on their socials.
Yeah, that's great. Behind the scenes is awesome. We have the other podcasts, which we're not like regularly scheduled with that. It's just we kind of throw episodes out, called Caught in the Moment, which is I don't know if you've seen anything from it, but I have a camera in there and in here for whatever the art. So we sit down and write a demo, like we make an entire song from scratch. It may get finalized and become a song. It may never come out. It may just be for the video, but it's to give people that behind the scenes, like, look, this is one of the various writing processes. How it is for us in the booth. So you can actually just sit with us and watch us fiddle around and find a song, which is cool because some of them turn into songs, and the demo that we make very often is drastically different than what the actual song becomes in the end. But it was just a thought I had. I really wanted to show people honestly, I do it more personally for me because I saw a Benny Blanco interview. He's a producer, where he was talking about watching the Apple special they had done about him and Ed Sheeran making an album, and he's like watching them, like he's like getting antsy watching himself these old videos. He's like, man, come on, you're so close to like finding that line that became the line or something, And he said he wished he had filmed more of his studio sessions like that to look back on. So I started that other show just so I always have something to look back on, like the early years of recording.
Yeah.
And it's really fun too to bring random people on that I've never worked with and be like, we're gonna sit down with our drastically different styles and try to make a demo by the end of this. Those are fun episodes.
That's awesome stuff. I mean, I was in the studio, Sins of Eden, early November, and they were practicing and playing, and and all of a sudden, Vinny, the bassist, started a blues, and then Dee, which is the guitarist, he started in, and before I know it, just out of the blue, I mean, out of nowhere, JC was throwing in lyrics and coming right off the top of his head, Vinny's playing, Dee Dee's playing, and Justin, the drummer, is putting down the beat. And those things, when those moments happen, are amazing.
There's a magic that is in songwriting where
Right.
a lot of times, a lot of the best songs I've written, I've tried to like replicate, or the sense of like what I felt or going into making that. And man, I love those days when I come in here and it takes me 30 minutes to churn out like a whole beat, a whole song, and I'm like, I don't know how I did that or how that came from. And then other times you'll be scratching your head about this song for months and weeks, and it's like, what happened to that day I just came in and was like,
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell you where it comes from. It's just there's those moments where everything just comes together, and it's truly just magic. And like, where did that come from?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and it's there, and I had the privilege yesterday. I had a meeting in Bald Knob.
Where's that at?
Down by Cersei, Little Rock.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep. And it was with a gentleman who's 68 years old, and he's been a farmer his whole life, but he's also he owned a newspaper at one time and stuff like that, but he has about 800 acres, 800 acres. And he was out there showing me this because he has an amphitheater. He built an amphitheater, and Metallica actually played there before they were really big.
Nice.
And it's called the North Arkansas Amphitheater. And he has an amazing vision. And while we were out there looking at this beautiful land, we were talking about music, I look up, and there is an American bald eagle right above me in a branch. You talking about amazing. Man, that was just so, and the song just resonating from all that. This gentleman puts on the Strawberry Jam Festival out there, and he does a lot of festivals And these are the things that I just love, because I would have never met that man or seen that American bald eagle or hearing the music that this land resonated if it wasn't for music.
No, that's beautiful.
I mean,
no, that's good. That very well leads me into my next question here, actually, was how do you feel like life has really changed for you since you have committed to like music business now and music being what you're doing?
it's done some amazing things. I mean, music kept me alive when I was sick with infection and paralyzed. It kept me alive. Music has made me a better person. I mean, I got into this business because of music and to help other artists. So it's humbled me, you know. It's just done so much. I mean, it's almost hard to explain. You just, if you just sit back and listen, just listen, you'll hear it. And, you know, some people may call it God, you know, I, I don't judge anybody by their beliefs. Personally, I'm a believer, so I would call it God, but you hear it. You hear it. And it just speaks to you and it guides you and it leads you and it has never done me wrong. I mean, like, when you break up with a girlfriend and your heart's broken, where do you go? To music.
Every time.
When you're happy and you want to party and all this other stuff, what do? You go listen to music. So music, if you allow it, can be in every aspect of your life, and it can change you. It can change you. And, it's just made me an all-around better person. I've learned other lessons, of course, Again, I come from the generation is you learn by your mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't have.
It's the best way to learn.
Yeah, you don't have. My son has been sick. We took him to the doctor. The doctor gave him medications. One of them was an inhaler. My wife sent him to school with the inhaler. Not the other medications, just the inhaler, because Doc said, hey, he's going to need this. The school calls up and says, he can't have that here.
What?
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Why? He has a prescription from the doctor saying he needs it, and you're telling me. My point is that in today's world, there's so much negativity and so much fighting against you. You just have to soldier on. And I felt, music does that for me. Like when I get angry, I listen to music.
Yeah.
I mean, so music is very, again, like we said earlier in the program, it's very powerful and it can do some very powerful things.
Yeah, no, it's dragged me from, not to get too into it because I have in past episodes for anyone who's curious, but I was at the lowest point of my life before I started doing this. Now mentally, I am at the best point I've ever been. I am somebody who, a lot of my friends refer to me as coach now. That has just become like the thing. Which I greatly appreciate. I don't feel like I've earned any title like that, but they come to me to talk to me about things, which is just, it's, and I guess I tend to have advice they appreciate or they like. But like just to summarize it quickly, it was both of my two best friends from like my entire life have passed away. So I was very much just alone and not in a great place. And when right before I came here, I gave up my business. I was running a tile and flooring company, gave that all up. I was making more money I've ever made in my life because I wasn't happy. Moved and went and stayed with one of my friends. He actually is the one who made me give it up because I had told him when we were hanging out one night when I was all upset that I was very seriously contemplating wrecking my vehicle on my way to work every day. And he's like, I'm flipping a coin right now, and if it heads, you're quitting your job. And so I did. He landed heads, and I gave up my whole business. I was like, I'm done. I'm sorry. People I subbed for, I called them. I was like, I ain't coming back. Sorry. And came from that to literally moved in with Blade for what was supposed to be 2 weeks, and now we're 3 years into building this, and I'm happier than I've ever been. And all of that has come from just diving into music for me, but it's diving into what I'm genuinely passionate about, which is helping people. So I started off by helping my friend achieve his goal of being a musician. And I've always loved music. I've said before too, my grandpa was a DJ for like 40 years or something. Mm-hmm. My dad, most of the best night memories I have with my dad are like the very end of the nights after, like, because he was a young dad, or he was 20 when he had me. So like end of the nights after he's had like a party with his friends, and it's just like me and him and my stepmom at the time hanging out, going through the CD fold, playing stuff, and they got a buzz, and I'm just like, we're all belting songs at the top of our lungs. Like, those are some of my best memories. So from like generationally, like, I've always loved music, always been around it. And so diving into that, and then my genuine passion of just helping people mentally, man, it's done so much more for me than anything has ever done in my life. So it's made me into just who I am today, which is, I'm just a happy guy. I'm running my business. I'm helping musicians, achieve their goals and dreams. I'm happily married now. Like, everything has come together because I've made the choice to commit to myself and my passions.
Yeah, I mean, music has caused us to do what we are doing, and because of what we are doing, me and my wife's relationship is the best it's ever been. Mm-hmm. I mean, my wife is amazing. She's fun, she's quick-witted, and working with her in this aspect is, I've seen that, mm-hmm. Before she was my wife. Mm-hmm. But because of what we're doing, and I just realized everything she has to offer. Mm-hmm. So, music has done that for us, for mm-hmm. me,
That's great.
I mean, it's just in every part of my life.
Same, definitely. So my final thing here that I like to do is I like to have you, for this point, talk directly to whoever the viewer is. And what would your advice be to someone who feels they are caught in that state of being never ready, of always having the next excuse, or always, just never ready to make the jump and commit to themselves?
There's nothing that you can't achieve. There's nothing that's not obtainable. You ignore what society tells you that you can't do it, and you go out and show them that you can do it. You prove to the world that you are valuable, because you are. You don't ever quit. Don't let anybody tell you can't do something. You just fight, and prove them wrong. I mean, there's nothing you can't do. I mean, if you have an addiction, you can get rid of the addiction. If you have a love for music, you can become music. If you want to fly a plane, learn to fly a plane. There's ways to do it. Man, I've just done so much crazy stuff in my life that, everybody said, you can't do that. You can't do that. And all that did was just motivate me to do it even more or want to do it more, And I've done it, you know. Uh,
No, it's beautiful,
I
man.
just, yeah, you just don't ever take no for an answer.
Well said. Lastly, let the people know where they can find you.
Well, we are in Mountain Home, Arkansas. You can find us on Facebook, Rockgirl Management Group, or Nikki Lane. Either or, you'll get basically the same results. You can email me, nikkilane.rge@gmail.com. Or, nope, sorry, outlook.com.
Mm.
Um, you know, we're always looking for artists. And
Always looking
or
to help the artist, I should
oh
add.
yes, always looking for artists to help, uh, and it can be a number of things. It doesn't have to be anything particular.
Mm-hmm.
Management, booking, promotions. If you need a video produced, whatever your needs may be, we can help you, and we're going to do it as cheaply as possible so you have more to do what you need to do with your music. Because ultimately, that's the important key.
It's all about the music, man.
All about the music.
Well, I'd like to thank you for coming in. And as always, I hope that we can help you feel like you're a little bit less in that state of never ready and a little bit more ready to take on your goals. Have a great day.
Thank you.